Welcome to the very first part of my brand new wedding photography blueprint series. Over the next 5 weeks, I'm going to be breaking down every single part of the wedding day, from the first curl of hair in the morning to the last dance in the evening. And I'm going to show you exactly how to capture it, with real world tips, practical examples, and camera settings that you can go out and use this weekend. If you're new to wedding photography, or you're just looking to tighten up your workflow, then this series is going to be packed full of value for you. And here's the thing, I'm releasing a new episode every Wednesday at 6 PM UK time. So if you don't want to miss out, then click that subscribe button and hit the notification bell so that you know and are ready when the next episode drops. So we're going to be kicking this off with one of my favourite parts of the day, and that's bridal prep. This is where you get to set the tone for the day, capture all of the little details, and start telling the story that the couple will love and look back on for years to come. I always start with the details. Think of these as chapter headings in the wedding story. They set the scene. There are a few shots that you just cannot miss during this part of the day. The dress hanging up somewhere in the room is a must get. And always remember to photograph the dress in full length and get some close-up details of it too. Capture the jewellery, using natural light where possible to really bring out its sparkle. The texture and colour of the flowers make them a perfect place to rest your jewellery on to get that shot. So here are my tips for capturing the details. Find good light. A big window is always your best friend. Keep your backgrounds clean. Take the time to move any clutter out of the back of your shot to improve your image. And for jewellery, where possible, use a macro lens or a long focal length for nice, soft, blurry backgrounds. My settings for this part of the day are usually as follows. My aperture I like to keep anywhere between f2.8 and f4, just enough to keep the subject in focus but give you that nice soft background. My ISO can range anywhere from 100 to 400 in good light, up to 1600 in some of the rooms that you may come across during bridal prep. And for my shutter speed, I'd just like to keep this above 1/200th of a second, just to keep everything in the frame nice and sharp. If it's dark, don't be afraid to use your flash. Remember, always try to bounce your flash off of walls or ceilings so you get a nice even spread of light and no harsh shadows. Flatlays are brilliant for showing off all of the wedding details together. Invitations, rings, perfume bottles, jewellery and shoes all work well in a flat lay. Use a plain background like a piece of cloth or a chair cushion and arrange the items with some breathing space. We don't need to cram everything all into one shot. When I'm shooting lay flats, I like to keep my setting somewhere around here. For my aperture, I like to go f4 or higher if the light allows. This means that everything from front to back is nice and sharp and none of those details are missed. Again, I like to use natural light when shooting flat lays. Side lighting works really well for these, so get them placed in front of a window and shoot away. For flat lays, it's really important that you shoot directly overhead. If your camera has a flip screen, this is really helpful and can make sure that you're getting everything in the shot that you need to. As an extra little tip for you, bring a flat lay kit. In mine, I like to carry a lint roller, some ribbon, and some small blocks just so that I can get things on different levels. I always find that makeup and hair shots always work best if you can stay out of the way of the makeup artist or the hairdresser. Get close-ups of makeup brushes in action. Some hairspray catching the light is one of my favourite shots to take at this part of the day. And capture those candid laughs in between brush strokes between the bride and her bridesmaids. My settings for when capturing hair and makeup, I like to keep my aperture as wide open as possible. Anything from around 1.4 to 2.8 is perfect for that nice shallow depth of field. Shutter speed, again, anything above 1/200th of a second to make sure any motion is frozen. And my ISO can range, again, depending on the light of the room, anywhere from around 100 up to 1600, possibly even higher if needed. Candid shots really are the heart of bridal prep. The moments that no one posed for usually make for the best pictures. Champagne pops, inside jokes and spontaneous laughs all make for really strong storytelling images and can be absolute gold. Here's a couple of tips for capturing these candid images. Use continuous autofocus and burst mode on your camera. so that you're ready to capture any laughs and are able to shoot through the whole moment so that you don't miss anything. I like to use a longer lens at this part of the day, where space allows, either an 85mm prime or a 70-200, just so I can stay out of the way and let these moments happen naturally without any interruptions from me. Once everyone's ready, grab some portraits of the bride and her bridesmaids, but keep it quick and keep it light. You don't want to be the one delaying the bride from going to see the registrars. For my aperture, I'd use anything from around 1.4 for taking solo portraits of brides or bridesmaids, up to around f4 for any group shots to make sure that everybody's in focus. For these, I like to keep my ISO as low as possible, depending on what the lighting in the room allows. Same as all the others, shutter speed above 1/200th of a second, so that we freeze any motion or laughs or candid moments that happen during this portrait session. Now let's jump over to the guys. Groom prep can be just as fun and as important as bridal prep, and it's a great way to balance the wedding gallery. Groom prep can sometimes be hard to capture if you're solo shooting a wedding, especially if the bride and groom are getting ready at different locations, which can be quite common in the UK. This is where a second photographer can come in really handy, so make sure you have this conversation with your couple when you're booking their wedding. Believe it or not, the groom has as many details to capture as the bride. Okay, maybe not quite as many, but there's certainly enough there for you to be going on with. Capture things like the rings, because normally the best man is with the groom in the morning and he'll have them. Watches, cufflinks, ties and shoes, all are important parts of the day and of the groom getting ready. My settings here would be similar to the bride settings. f2.8 to f4, shutter speed above 1/200th of a second, and my ISO as low as the lighting in the room will allow, but happy to let it ride up to around 1600 or even more if the situation calls for it. In my experience, the candid side of things with the groom and the groomsmen is often a lot more relaxed than the bride and bridal party. So take advantage of this and use the time to capture some nice relaxed images of the groom with his groomsmen, maybe sharing a drink, having a laugh, or just sitting chatting in the calm before the storm. Settings for this one, again I'd go between 2.8 and f4, depending on whether there's just a group of people or if I'm just picking out a single person from the group. For my shutter speed, again I'll keep this at over 1/200th of a second, just so that it's fast enough to freeze any movement. And my ISO, again similar to the bride's, as low as possible, but happy to let it creep up if needs be. So for these final getting ready moments, it's important to capture the transition. Shoes, cufflinks, jackets and ties being put on by groomsmen to the groom or groom to the groomsman make for fantastic storytelling images. For my settings at this part of the day, it'll be the same as the candid shots that we just mentioned in the previous section. So my aperture anywhere from f2.8 to f4, shutter speed above 1/200th of a second, and ISO as low as possible for the lighting situation. For my portraits of the groom and groomsmen when they're ready, I like if possible to take these outside. I like to keep it natural, things like hands in pockets, leaning against something, walking towards the venue or walking into the venue. Black and white images tend to work really well for this part of the day in my opinion. Like I said, these images won't be overly formal unless the groom specifically requests it. As I say, I like to take these pictures outside, so my settings aren't really dictated by being in a dark room. So for my aperture, I like to keep it as wide open as possible for those blurry backgrounds. My shutter speed as fast as it needs to be, and my ISO as low as I possibly can. Morning prep is the perfect time to shoot the venue before any guests arrive. Obviously, this will only be possible if one of the couple is actually getting ready at the venue, otherwise you're going to be elsewhere. Get some wide shots of the venue, some nice close-ups of the table settings, some of the ceremony space, and any signage there is at the wedding. Any personal touches that the couple have added will mean something to them, so it's important that you make sure you capture it. When I'm capturing a venue, my settings will be as follows. My aperture will be anything from around 2.8 to f4 when I'm capturing the details in the rooms. I'll let this creep up to around 5.6 or all the way up to f8 when I'm capturing external shots of the venue, depending on how much of the scene I want to get in focus. My ISO will range from anything from 100 to 400 if I'm outside, and anything from 400 to say 1600 when I'm inside capturing the details. If the room is dark, use a tripod to get crisp, clean images from inside the rooms. Here's a quick bonus tip that can really set you apart. Shoot for the suppliers at the wedding. What do I mean by that? Well, take clean, well-composed images of the flowers for the florist. Take a well thought out, well-lit picture of the cake for the cake maker. And make sure you capture all of the decor that the wedding planner has put so much effort into. These aren't just nice to have extras. They can be really powerful tools when it comes to building relationships with other suppliers in the wedding photography industry. When you capture these shots thoughtfully, it shows that you appreciate the work of the other wedding suppliers. Plus, it gives them some content that they can use to promote their own business via their website or social media platforms. Just make sure that you tag them when you're posting those images. This simple act, believe it or not, can lead to more referrals and actual bookings down the line. By delivering these shots, you're not just adding value to your client's wedding gallery, you're also planting the seed for potential future collaborations with other suppliers. So next time you're shooting a wedding, remember, those supplier shots are more than just an extra photo for the gallery. They're a smart investment into your professional network. So there you have it, how I approach photographing morning preparations, from the smallest details to the biggest laughs. We've covered bridal prep, groom prep, venue shots, and even how to shoot for suppliers. Next week we're heading into part 2, and it's the big one, the wedding service, where I'll show you how to capture the most important part of the day without getting in the way. If you found the first part of this series helpful, then please drop a like, leave me a comment and hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you don't miss next week's episode. And I'll see you there next Wednesday at 6 o'clock.